The Queensland government's unveiling its suite of new laws around hate speech and gun reform to be brought to Parliament during this week's first sitting of the year. State political reporter Harry Clark is live. Harry, what's in the legislation?
G'day, Kieran. Well, the legislative changes around hate speech will come in three main parts. We'll take you straight to them. Firstly, there will be increased penalties for displaying terrorist symbols, so flying the Hamas flag, displaying Nazi emblems, Islamic State flag and the Hezbollah flag. Anyone displaying those symbols is now facing when this legislation goes through the Parliament, 2 years behind bars. That's up from 6 months previously. Offensive slogans have been banned, specifically the rallying chants of anti-Israel activists from the river to the sea and globalise the intifada, now carrying a maximum penalty of 2 years jail. There are now new punishments for impeding or harassing people attending religious services. That carries a maximum of 3 years in jail. Causing willful damage to a place of worship, now 7 years jail, and assaulting or threatening a person officiating a religious ceremony. The penalty for that has increased from 2 years to 5 years in prison. Here is the Premier David Crisafulli and the Attorney General Deb Fleckinson in announcing these law changes yesterday.
We didn't take a knee-jerk reaction. We were considered. We were calm, we were detailed, and as a result, the legislation that will be tabled in Parliament on Tuesday will be the best of its kind in the country.
These sayings have no place in Queensland when they are used to incite hatred, offence and menace.
These hate speech law changes were announced yesterday, Kieran, at the Queensland Holocaust Museum. The Jewish leaders have welcomed the changes, and Jason Steinberg, the president of the Queensland Jewish Board of Deputies, became quite emotional when describing the experience of Queensland Jews over the past 2.5 years.
Holocaust survivors and their descendants tell us that they never thought they'd see this again, but they have. And it's not good enough that we don't have laws that show a red line where people need to know. But now in Queensland with these proposed laws, the red line is clearly there.
And Kieran, also to be introduced to Parliament this week are new laws around gun reform in response to the Bondi attack. We don't yet know exactly what these new laws will look like. They'll be announced by the Premier, he says, after a Cabinet meeting this afternoon. The Queensland Government has, of course, not agreed to sign on to the federal government's gun buyback scheme. But one quick question is, will the new laws follow the advice of the coroner investigating the Williamville shooting in December 2022 that firearms licence applicants undergo mandatory mental health checks before obtaining a firearms licence?